Hello, this is Robert Cosfield, and we have the
What am
great
I to?
Chancellor of the
Oh, Chancellor.
School of,
Chancellor.
School of Men in the United States, Daniel, the Dr. Williams. That's who we got today. We got the
Chancellor. Okay.
Chancellor. Study of
What's
Men.
good? What's good?
Chancellor. He's a Chancellor. He's a Dean, too.
Chancellor. All right. I like that.
Yeah.
I like elevation. That means that means I'm rising in the ranks.
Yes,
Lord
sir.
is taking me higher. He's exalting me as I exalt him. So I have no complaints with that.
Hey, I'm trying to get people in your university, man. I'm trying to get these dudes in this university so they can learn something. I'm gonna learn them today.
Ain't gonna learn them, man. We're gonna learn them. Let's learn them something then. Hey, we're glad that y'all are back rocking with us, Men on Pause. We talk about some serious issues. Hey, I hope this is a being of value to you. And if it's being of value, don't be greedy. I hope that you're sharing this out, that you're sharing this to another man that could get a leg up, that can use the encouragement, that can know that, you know what? I'm not the only one dealing with this, because we'll sit around and we'll believe that a lot of times that nobody's understanding what it is that I'm dealing with, your thing is not so exclusive to you. Somebody's experienced it before. And that's why we're here.
Yeah, that's true. That's so true, man. And it's so easy to do. I'm just guilty. Yeah, it just, as men, sometimes you just feel like you got to shoulder the whole world and all of that. And man, and look, and you got a broke collarbone. You just.
Yeah. But that's what they taught us. You supposed suck it up. A man just supposed to figure it out, toughen up. It's like, I mean, we've been given the wrong advice from the start. So it was like, we was unconsciously, they sabotaged us before we even got started.
Can't even got the gate right, man. I don't know. I just don't know. But I tell you what, though, the more we keep talking, I get better. That's why the subject tonight is just crazy, man. It's crazy. So we talking about rejection in relationships. Rejection. You know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna start off, and I'm gonna be transparent, translucent, right? Because y'all know
translucent.
Translucent. I don't even care. I'm at that age. So check it out. So I mean, this is no secret. I'm going through a separation divorce. It's getting close, man. I got a call today. Lawyer, we chopping it up, and man, being hurt, we have our moments, man, and a lot of rejection going on, right? And so a lot of things being said, done, all kinds of stuff, right? And I'm gonna leave it at that. But as a man, now I'm gonna start off with it. Because of the way I grew up, I don't like rejection. I'm just being honest, right? That's hard for me because I grew up in those environments where, you always was just you heightened about everything, about any and everything, and then I have these triggers. Like right now, I have relationship PTSD. Like I'm a military dude, I'm retired. I have relationship PTSD. Now I know some of y'all would never admit that you got relationship PTSD, but I do. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm in trouble. So rejection is part of that. Like why? Why when somebody in a relationship says something to you, man, it be people, spaces, places, and things. And they can be triggers. You know what I'm saying? So certain things can get said and done, and the more it gets said and done, you get crazy. You know what I'm saying? You're just like, wait a minute. And then you lose it. And it's because rejection. So I'm going to read this, and then we're going to start. No matter how successful, everyone will face this painful reality at some point, which is called rejection. It's a fact of life. And while nothing can take away the sting of someone brushing you and all your qualities off, it doesn't have to knock you for a loop. In fact, there's little difference, neurologically speaking, between the physical pain of injury and the emotional ache of rejection on an MRI. This is clinically proven. Like learning how to deal with rejection in a healthy fashion is valuable life skill you can use in all facets of your life, personal, professional, and romantic. So why it hurts to be rejected. And this is the first thing we're going to talk about. Being turned down by a friend, hiring manager, potential romantic partner, wife, whoever you date, is painful. It's called rejection. Trauma for a reason. The agony you feel is genuine, whether you're experiencing hurt caused by rejection or cutting your finger. The same area of your brain activates when you're processing this information. And so I have a quote. I have some quotes, right, that just kind of go along with this as we talk about this. These are the top 16 most famous quotes on rejection. And I'm going to start off with the first one. The greatest trap in our life is not success. Listen to that. Not success, popularity, or power, but self-rejection. Did I say? I said self-rejection. We reject ourselves because sometimes what people say or they do to us, especially as men, we feel emasculated. We feel dejected. We feel like, man, I must not be the man that I should have been, and all that old crazy stuff. So then I'm gonna start with that. Like I've been there. I've been there many times. And I just want your take on that, man. Like, because some men don't want to talk about, when somebody turned them down. It's plenty of people in prison. They done committed suicide, packed suicides. They done shot up folks. All that. I know some cats right now. They're in prison for some chick just said, nah, I'm done. And then they lose their mind. They just, well, if I can't have you, nobody gonna have you. See, that's rejection. So what's your take on that, man, as a man? How does that, what you think?
Yo, honestly, some of that stuff is like, let me start. Really, it goes back to like this. When we were little boys and we were powerless against the forces that be. We got bullied in some way. It was some adult or just some bigger kid or whatever that just like, just ran over us and whatnot. It was a physically getting pushed around, bullied, and I mean you were powerless to really defend yourself. Mm-hmm. And then the thing in you're hearing certain, depending on the environment you grew up in the home you grew up in, or area that you grew up in, you hear all of these negative things about you. Like, you know what? Talking about your family never amounted to anything. There'll never be nothing. And those things sting, and then you end up hurting them. So you know what, as men? So now all we have is I got to prove them wrong. Even if the person, we meet people along the way as we grow up, and even though they weren't the ones that offended us or said it, we're out to prove it to anybody and everybody that we come in contact with that I'm the man. I can't be pushed around. You're not going to get over on me. You know what? I know you have. I'm going to make you like me. I'm going to make you love me. I'm going to make you accept me. And then, yeah, when you keep getting those, because, they have nothing to do with it, they be like, nah, whatever. You take it as rejection and like, hey, like you saying, some guys, they take it to the extreme, so many relationships later to where, yeah, they say a lady like, yo, I don't want to be with you anymore. It's not the rejection of her saying that she doesn't want to be with him anymore. That was just the last straw. Because He was holding it in for so many years. He was just like, I can't take another no. But I mean, the best way to defend against all of that is basically like, hey, think about it like a salesman. You know what? All of those no's are pushing you to the yes.
Yeah.
It's pushing you closer. You getting closer. So with a relationship, you know what? All of those bad ones, man, don't hold on to that and be all busted up and broken up and whatnot. All of those bad ones are leading you to the right ones if you know how to let go of the wrong ones, because you like, oh man, she had everything that I wanted except for this little thing. Well, that except for that little thing is the thing that's a deal breaker. Yep. Walk away. That's how I feel about it. Okay. That little thing that one but if it's a deal breaker, don't be like, well, she's got everything that I was looking for. She looks like everything, but she got this one thing that I just can't. Well, don't settle for trying to tolerate that one I can't. That's the deal breaker. Walk away. Save yourself a whole lot of aggravation and frustration. That's how I feel. What what you say about it?
Well, and I'm gonna read this second note, right? And then I'm gonna answer to what you just said. So beyond the physical sensation, rejection also strikes at our need for acceptance and belonging. Humans are social creatures, and our desire to connect developed through evolution. Beginning when humans lived together as hunter-gatherer groups, individuals who easily integrated into the tribe were more likely to survive and reproduce. And that's true. Now, to go along with what you just said, yeah, I, I think it comes a point when you have to say to yourself, you have people come into your life shockingly and surprisingly. You have losses that you never thought you would experience. You have rejection, and you have to learn how to deal with that and how to get up the next day and go on with it. And that's tough, man, when you don't know your self-worth, or you feel like, I've been doing this for so long, this person I've been with, or, I just want to settle. And I just finally, I'm starting to realize, no, I ain't got nothing to lose. And I know that sounds cold, that sounds calculating, that sounds like threatening. No, it's not. It's, this past, several days, this switch just flipped. And it's like, okay, dude. And, I was talking to my attorney. He's crazy. Yeah, he's fun. He said, can I ask you a question? What are you afraid of, man? And I said, well, sir, I don't know. He said, no, I do. He said, living. That's it. He said, man, look, just live. Just let it go. Walk away. Just live. And when we don't know how to live, and that comes from, that's that innate stuff, what you was talking about when you was growing up. Like, for instance, my father, he used to get drunk and get mad at me. He was like, you'll never be nothing. You ain't gonna, he's all that negative stuff, right? And you're right. When you hear that from a man, your own father, now, did he really mean it? Well, the words already been spoken and said. So my thing was, okay, you was in the military. I'm going in the military. He got pissed off. He was mad. What? You joined the military? What? No, hold up. No, I'm gonna one up you. See, you're 100% right. When he told me, hey man, you ain't gonna be jacked. I said, okay. I went and got a bunch of degrees, man. I always was doing stuff just to say, guess what, buddy? I'm gonna make more money than you. I'm gonna see what happens. And then you go on this rampage, right? You talk about bullying and fighting folks and all that stuff. So I spent my whole entire life like that, like in the hood. So you fight folks, you win some, you lose some. It's just like a prize fight. Right, 32-0. Now it wasn't that. You might be being like, yeah, I was 35-0. No, you wasn't. You wasn't 35-0. I done had some of my best fights with chicks, man. Huh? I have been boxed. I know some women that came with it. Huh?
Oh yeah.
Huh? Yeah.
There's some out there.
Yeah, some of these dudes don't want to admit that. Like, you get rejected, and then you start talking trash, and then next thing you know, y'all boxing. And back in the day, as kids, man, it was some Thundercats out there. And I'm like, dog, yeah. I didn't expect it. So, when you, like you said, when you come up, you having to fight for everything, and you get rejected, even by your buddies. Like 1 minute we friends. I mean, I don't know if you grew up like that. Like, man, it's cats you hung around, and then one day y'all playing stickball, and the next thing they using this stick to whoop your behind. Then y'all got to make up. And then we playing.
Yeah.
That's rejection. You know what I'm saying? What's your take on that, man?
I think you hit on something when you said, like, going in the military, you're getting all of the degrees. I'm gonna make more money than you, and all of that. That's what men do. So you know what? What happened in that was you never went after you. What you wanted to go after. You were just in pursuit of something that I'm gonna show you. So and in that we get lost in so much in being in being vindicated because you attack me, you attack my ego and who I am. So you never really got to know who you were, what you wanted to pursue, and what was important for your life and whatnot, because it was just like, I know I just going to go after the big things to show you up.
Yep.
And a lot of us, we end up, that's a lot of pursuit for the men, because you know what? Embarrassment. I don't know where the whole thing of embarrassment came from, but it's like a shameful things. Oh, if you get an answer wrong in the classroom, you ought to be embarrassed or be ashamed. You're learning. I mean, what's that to be embarrassed about? I didn't know. You don't know. So what is there to be ashamed about? And I think that's a lot of things why we pursue a lot of the things, because we don't want to be in a position of being embarrassed, of hearing that you're not this, you're not that, you're not that great at this, you're not that great at that. So we try and go all in on things to just try and show ourselves, boost our ego. We want somebody, we do things to get our egos stroked, just try and veer away from things that we know that we aren't so good at, which is what we should pursue, because the things that we aren't good at, that's probably going to be the thing that you're going to be the most excellent in, and you keep on. That's why we keep on jumping through things through life, moving from this one thing to the next thing, finding something new. Okay, you know what? I'm bored with that. So I'm going to go on and I think I'm going to try this, and I think I'm going to try this, because that's the thing that they say successful men do. And that's what we follow.
And, it's sad when these contrasts and comparisons with others, or you got to compete with other characterizations of folks. I'm now finding that out in relationships. I don't want to do that no more. Like, if you don't want me, you're good, and I'm good. Now, you're not going to get what comes with me, though, because I got to move on. And number two, I finally figured out that, you know what? It's sad. You're right. You stay pissed off all the time trying to prove something. It could be the wife, the siblings. It could be your parents. It could be your children. It can be everybody, church folks, all of this. And you never really are asking God, what is your purpose and intent for me? Like, what should I have pursued in the first place? So you pursuing everything else. Even, I'm a musician, right? So, quick story. I'm supposed to go to Peabody School of Music in Baltimore, man. I'm first chair woodwind player. I'm a percussionist. I play guitar, bass, drum, all this stuff. And my sons had asked me this recently, right? They said, Pops, what was it that you really wanted to do when you first, got out of high school? And what did you want to do? Now, y'all can, you can damn me if you want to, but I'm going to tell you what I told them. At the time, man, I had to reach back. And then I said, I just wanted to be a musician and a whore. I did, man. Because that's what, I'm saying? Because all the musicians I grew up with, man, that was a big dream. Like, I know some people are not in the industry like that, but that's what it was. It was like, man, that was glamorous for a young man like me, man. I was like, wow, I get to travel the world, play, and just live it up, and drink, and do all that stuff. That was my goal. See? Now, why? My father was a musician. My brothers were musicians. I grew up in a musical family. My aunt, all of them, and they played professionally, some professionally. I can tell you stuff. But here's the point. There I go again. I said, man, I'm gonna outplay them. I'll sing them. I'm gonna play multiple instruments. I never asked God, is that what I should be doing? Right? I joined the military. Same thing. I just end up in the medical field just for the hell of it. I'm just gonna, what you got? So you're right. If you're not careful, you'll spend your whole life trying in pursuit of proving something as a man, but you really wasn't approved by God. That's
I didn't mean to cut you off, but the crazy thing about it, and all of that, in a whole lifetime of being in competition, who you being in competition with? Because they weren't even thinking about you, but you're doing everything to one up them. They living their life doing what it is they want to do, and then we're in a pursuit of, what they did. I'm gonna show them. They think they over there think they looking good, think they doing that. I'm gonna show them. Don't even have me to think about. And I'm just damaging myself and keeping myself from missing out on my true purpose, in assignment in life, because I'm worried about somebody else and they're not even thinking about me.
No, and you know what? And this is true. Just recently, you know, and you could check it. It's on public record, man. Man, I got multiple masters, PhDs, and all kind of crazy stuff, right? Certification on. So now I'm in school and I got all these different degrees. And I just said, as a man, I said, you know what? I'm gonna run multiple businesses and I'm just gonna see if I can pull it off. Just because. And I did it. Okay. I got the t-shirts. And then I said, now what? So that was crazy, man. I just jumped off cliffs. I ain't care, you know. And as a man, again, you just feel like you got to be invincible. Like, you know, I'm gonna show these jokers. And now I'm older. I'm like, what did I get out of that? What? Like, what was that about? So I'm gonna read this other deal. Right? Those that couldn't forge close bonds with others were more likely to be abandoned. See, you talked about that, or viewed as an outcast. Over time, the need to be included became hardwired into the human brain. When rejection happens, conditions don't mesh with your evolutionary need, causing, listen to this, anxiety and doubt. Now, I'm going to throw this out here and see what you guys say about this, because here's this other quote, right, that go along with that. Right? A rejection is nothing more than a necessary step in the pursuit of success. Think about what you said. You started out with that. You said, well, hey, some stuff just got to happen. You just got to be rejected. So you go in the right pursuit of success. And I said all that to say, man, it's crazy how you can end up hardwiring yourself in this brain of ours to be conditioned to just have to just do what? And then you got all this anxiety, self-doubt, but you playing hard. You acting like, oh yeah, I got to get. Your mental health gets compromised. Your spiritual walk has always been compromised. Everything is compromised. Like you just all in the pursuit of trying to prove that I don't want to be rejected. And then what? But you are being rejected because you just said, you know, you did all that. Now your brain is wired wrong and you're doing all this wrong stuff. And then, And you could be in the same household with your kids and everybody and don't even realize you lost. You just lost. What you think you're doing as a man really doesn't have, as we always talk about, no benchmarking standards. Like, again, where's God in all of this? Where is he? And now I get, like, that rejection. God's, man, his math is fuzzy. He'll just take that hedge of protection from around you and say, okay, go have at it, buddy. And when you're done, we'll see what happens. And then the Spirit of the Lord, who's supposed to lead and guide us to truth, you ain't never been listening to him. And you ain't listening to him. So how you gonna lead and guide you to the truth and you don't want to be led? You trying to lead the Spirit of the Lord, which ain't gonna happen. Or you trying to bamboozle God, right? Or you trying to fleece God. If you do this, I'll do this.
Cause see, there you
go ahead.
You hitting it on the head. What it said, the heart is the most deceitful of all things. Yep. So we're listening to our internal voice, which is in rebellion to God. So it's not going to put us on the right track for who we're supposed to be and what we're supposed to be doing. Our carnal man is all about pleasure. It's all about pleasure. It's all about the adrenaline rush. It's all about jumping off and worry about the consequences later. So it like I said, it goes back to, all right, where's God and all this? But a man's not going to be thinking about, God first when that wasn't in the environment that he grew up in, when that wasn't the culture of his household. So it's hard to just when a man's pouring out his heart and he's talking about how rough it is, this relationship did me like this, or life was kicking me around like this, and then you just ask him, he's like, Did you talk to God? Did you find out with God first? She's like, man, God ain't been in my culture. God wasn't in my house like that. So, I mean, to bring it to a man like that is you're like, yo, so somebody has to be exemplifying a lifestyle, or where they're saying like, hey, listen, I feel what you're saying, because I lived like that too. I was wired like that. But yo, once I just really sat down, it's like, I've been trying every other way. All right, let me try God out and see and be honest. I mean, he knows anyway. But we as men, we get caught up with it was something else you were saying. I was trying to remember. It was so on point. But yeah, if we just get with God, or just sit down, as a matter of fact, we just sit down. We have to go to God for our direction. Actually, I mean, there's no other way to get your direction except through him. But if you just slow down for a minute, pull back, man, the whole thing about failing is nothing, is that we shouldn't even use the word failure. It's just like trial and error.
Right.
Everything, our whole life is about trial and error. We learn as we go along the way. Boom, I didn't like the way that went. So don't be attached to the outcome of that last thing. So now not to go back and do that. But what do we do with relationships? We run them in cycles. We keep running into that same. It's a different body. It's a different face, but the spirit is still the same in each one of the women that we might run into. The very thing that we say we don't like, we're not going to put up with, we run into it until the next one, and run into it with the next one, because we done got a mark on us that rejection, that hurt. Like, oh, I'm going to show the next one. I'm going to be so much better with the next one. Why are you trying to prove yourself?
Right.
What do you have?
No, and that's, again, when I was talking about the Spirit of the Lord leading, guiding us, and giving us truth, right? And really think about, here Jesus saying, look, I'm about my Father's business. See, the business. See, that's where that rejection will get us in trouble. What business are you in? You in the sex business? You in the you in the liquor business? You in the getting high business? We overindulge in some of the most stupidest stuff. I remember you was talking about, like, man, we just go too far. And what business we in? It does any of this stuff that we trying to prove based on the fact I've been rejected, and now I'm gonna prove what? Where is God in any of this stuff? Like, where's the concrete? What we doing? Where we going? So some things you shouldn't have done in the first place. You should have done it. Even in a marriage, right? I had to admit that, right? I said I shouldn't have done this in the first place. I ain't asked God nothing. I wasn't prepared. I wasn't. Now, it's funny how, I had some family members on both sides. They had placed bets on my marriage and said, I can't believe it lasted that long. I can't. Wow. Yeah. And I said, see, that's rejection. I said, man, I cannot. I don't. Let me leave that alone. I was about to say something in the business. But check this out. So I said.
But yo, it's funny how they could see it.
Yeah.
They could see something about a mixed match, but you know what? It's, instead of us taking heed to it, we be like, oh, you don't know what you're talking about. I'm gonna show them that this is gonna work. And we go and we place ourselves in danger because I got to show you something. We got to prove, because we trying to prove something. We'll put us. We'll overlook the very obvious, because now you're not going to tell me. I'm gonna show you, because you know what? We don't want to be showed up. Not wanting to be showed up is like one of the greater problems that we as men have. You're not going to show me up. I'm going to show you. Even if we know the thing is dangerous and we know that it's wrong, we still going to stay in it, or we're going to pursue it anyway, just to show them I can turn it around. I can make. He's like, yo, man, that's not going to work. You're not able to do that. And in some instances, it's a negative thing for people to tell you what you can't do, trying to project onto you something that they can't do. But in some cases, they might look at something and be like, nah, instead of saying that's something you maybe should not do, instead of saying you're not going to be able to make that work, it's sometimes just the wording. The wording could, if the with the correct wording, that a lot of people could have not gone into bad relationships or made bad business decisions or whatever. If somebody who were giving them advice knew how to word a thing correctly, because some words, sometimes the way you word it, it'll sound like a challenge as opposed to sounding like they're giving you wise counsel and saying, hey, I see warning signs in this. You know, have you really sat back and thought about what you want to go forward in that, rather than saying, hey man, I don't think that's for you. You ain't gonna be able to that thing ain't gonna last. You ain't gonna, that sounds like a challenge. Oh, I'm gonna show you it's gonna work, it's gonna last. And we enter into things because of miscommunications. We don't slow down and we don't slow down and really process things as we should. We just run head first.
And you know, you hit it on the head. See, it's the way you process things. So I know how I'm wired. You're 100% right. If I hear it a certain way, oh, it's on. And you know, I thought about that just last week, man. You know, I was like, you know what? Why I gotta prove what? Even when somebody says stuff like that, like what you doing? Now I'm gonna read this. You're not emotional or weak if you experience these feelings when somebody, what we talking about, rebuffs your presence. It's biology. Your emotional reaction to personal disappointment, what you just said, isn't under your control, but how you respond to the situation, creating these feelings. That's what you just said. See, so how we respond. And here's this other quote. Rejection is a common occurrence. Learning that early and often will help you build up the tolerance and resistance to keep going and keep trying. And again, how many people just stay in something and then you lose your mind? Been there. Mental health just all crash, burn. You sitting here trying to reject God. You can't. I've tried that too. Like, you know what? I'm just not gonna read the Bible today. Like, God gonna just go.
He already told you what happened. You reject me, and hey, see what happens.
See what I'm saying? You trying to prove something to God, like, you know?
Ain't that crazy?
Ain't that crazy? See, try to be the man. Or check this out. I just won't go to church. Really? Huh, man? You really? Okay, I'm gonna give you one better. Spirit Lord talking, and he like, look, I'm trying to talk to you. You need to be quiet. And then you, man, this ain't right. And I'm gonna tell you what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna destroy myself. Really? The enemy who come to kill, steal, and destroy. Lucifer in his previous glorified state, Satan in his present state. He like, hey, I've been waiting on this all day long, brother. Come on, join in. I can show you how to do that. See, and then we blame God. Look what God. No, God ain't gotta do that. God just say, no, I'm gonna take the head text run. I'm gonna let you do your thing, and then you go rumble in the jungle and see how that works. And it's sad when we just, as men, we just dig a deeper hole trying to do what. So now here's and I'm gonna let you talk about this. Here's my new thing now. Now I'm shutting all the camp down. I'm like, you know what? I just ain't saying nothing. I ain't doing nothing. I'm done. I ain't communicating. I ain't doing nothing. Don't talk to me. I won't talk to you. Nothing. Because I'm tired of doing dumb stuff. The dumb stuff is when you reject God. You just, when you just get all crazy and out of your mind. Because it comes a point you got to shut it off. Like, shut it. Just cut it out. Go sit down, man. Just, because at the end of the day, you know, then what? So I had two spiritual leaders just come to me just recently. And they said, look, man, I don't care how you slice and dice it. You're a preacher. That's it. That's what you should have been doing, supposed to do, but you just came out the gate wrong. That's all. You were so busy being rejected, thinking you got to prove some stuff, and then you just never got on the right track. How about you just shut it down and get on the right track, man. Progressive holiness. Just let's start from scratch. Let's talk to God. Now, does that make sense to you, Daniel, or am I crazy? What do you think about that?
About the just
sometimes as men, when you already did the shipwreck, how about just stop? Just stop. Just
it.
do.
You know, it would have been great if we as men, we actually had a community of men that actually taught that and lived that out. So like we wouldn't get so misdirected early on. It's like, cause yeah, I mean, boom, if we could start, if man, the start is so faulty. The start is so faulty because as men, we get it. We turn to God later in life after we just done been beat, battered, and bruised, and then we still keep on trying to drag with broken parts and still trying to fight, dragging ourselves and still trying to do it ourselves until it's like, you know, you have all the limbs are broken and you just laying there. Hey, kind of like you think about back to Star Wars when one of the Star Wars, one of the newer ones, when they showed how Darth Vader ended up being Darth Vader, and they was in the fight with Obi-Wan, and he got his legs cut off and whatnot, and one of his arms chopped off, and he's like, yo, it was no more, he could fight no more. Then that's the point that where men want to turn to God and be like, help me. And it's only because now we done ended up in a helpless state. I was one. I kept on going and going and going until I got to a point to where it's like, yo, I was absolutely powerless to change anything and make it work for me. And then I cried out to God for the direction. But we're never taught to do it. Do it before it's too late. We say it, but nobody ever gives. And usually when I used to hear that story about do it before it's too late, it's from a guy who never been through anything. Yeah. He never been through anything. He never had any struggles. So it was real easy to say, oh yeah, man, just talk to the Lord. And I was like, yeah, that sounds good. You know, but I'm like, yo, I'm dealing with this. And they like, gotta fix it. It's like, yo, man, I mean, but Jesus gave the people a practical way of dealing with things at the same time too. Jesus didn't just give them the scripture and that was it. That's why he made the parables. He gave them something that was so he gave them like the stories about agriculture and whatnot, because they were people of agriculture. They knew about farming, they knew about herding and whatnot. So he used things that they could actually comprehend and whatnot. He was spiritual and he was human at the same time too. So I mean, a lesson for some of the people out there that just absolutely spiritual. He said, okay, let me meet them where they are. I got to give it to them in something that they can understand. So what better way than saying, I'm a man who dealt with, you know, I ain't deal with pornography, anything. I just love sex like crazy with multiple women. I enjoyed drinking, getting high, doing the things that I did. Now, when I run into a man and I tell him how I overcame, then he's more apt to turn his ear to me and be like, yeah, when I was in your situation, man, what I did was he listened, as opposed to you just saying, just give it to God, just pray. You know, you gotta slow down and you gotta bring them to that point. Some of us, we like to give advice, but we don't actually think about where the guy is, where somebody is, and be like, all right, you know what? I need to go where they are, and then bring them where I am, where it is I'm trying to show them.
Yeah, and it's called mechanics. Because I used to preach and I used to tell people, man, you know, if you're gonna tell me something about God, then give me the mechanics behind that. And that's hard for people, see, because it's easy to say something and walk away versus build a relationship with me. Show me how it works. The mechanics. That is, Jesus done it all day long, disciples all. They just say, hey, you know what? We're not gonna just say it, we're gonna walk with you. We're gonna have a relationship with you. And one of the things I think in this topic we talking about, man, it's like, you know, can you accept your feelings? right? Do we even understand why we feel rejected about these deep-seated things? Or from an emotional standpoint, like, what is this process supposed to look like? How do you grieve and all of this stuff? And I'm gonna go back to something you just said. You're right. As men, we wait till the last minute, most of us, and then we gotta hit rock bottom. But you know what? I finally came to this conclusion. It depends on what rock we talking about. Now, I'm trying to get deep and wonderful with nobody, but I'm gonna just tell the truth. See, we talking Jesus? We talking, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit? Is that the rock we talking about? Or we talking about some Hennessy on the rocks? What we talking about? Which rock we talking about? We want to hit rock bottom? There's a lot of guys, their rock bottom is they went, they get incarcerated, or they, or like you said, you plow through women, or they rock bottom is they homeless. It's a lot of, man, somebody asked me that the other day. They was like, man, I just don't understand why these men be living on the streets like this. I said, well, hold up. I've talked to homeless men that just been rejected, dejected, and they feel safer just not being responsible for nothing. And they live on the street rather than have to be responsible for people who keep rejecting them. I've heard them tell me this over and over. Nah, I don't feel like dealing with nobody. I'll just rather just sleep on the street and just rather than keep getting rejected. And that's how they feel. I get it. Some people don't get that. And so it just comes a point where what rock we talking about? Like what's rock bottom? When you go ahead.
And you talking about that, it's like, I mean, I was homeless. I was homeless before too. And it's like everybody's not meant to give advice. If you haven't been through it, it's just like, like our problems are really not meant to break us or tear us down if we've been taught how to deal with them the right way. And we look at it from a biblical standpoint. What we go through is for somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
I've overcome the things I've overcome, and now I'm able to talk to other men, and they like, all right, man, I can make it through that. But until we get to a point of helping people to understand that they're like, what you're going through, just realize every point of your life, every day that you deal with, you take it back to every hour that you deal with, is temporary. It's got to pass. It's not going to prolong unless you just continue to look at it as this is the period. This is a lifetime thing. Then obviously it's going to remain in front of you, and you're going to deal with it for an eternity. But once you look at, it's like, all right, this is temporary, and you start fixing your eyes on that. Now what I do is I try and press this upon people, is just like, hey, think about this. God said he wrote our life from the ending to the beginning. Meaning he put the successes, the triumphs, the overcomings, the successes, the victories, all of the great experience. He put that first in our life. So that's what he wanted us to experience more than anything else. Then the roadblocks and the hurdles and all of that stuff was put in place. But think about, the victories were there first. The successes were there first, which means let that stuff pass and you're going to get there. If you start thinking about life as in terms of, I do have something to try and work towards and go towards, but we continue to look at the things that we're close up on. And the more we look at what we're close up on, we can't see, oh, okay, man, there's still more road ahead. Let me keep on going, and I'll be able to get past this. And once you start moving, you start realizing you're moving past a thing, you start realizing how much more distance you have between that thing back there and where you are, and how much closer you are to the thing that's in front of you.
Well, and that was my next. You hit it dead on the head. As you process your feelings, you talk about it, man. you will move from one phase to the next until you're eventually past. See, that's what you just said. Past the thoughts and feelings of, now check this out, anger, disappointment, and self-doubt. You're experiencing to move beyond the situation and find peace. And this is another quote. Remember, the pain of rejection is nothing compared to the pain of regret. And that's what you just said. See, so think about this. Like, it's a process. I got to start somewhere, first of all. Then the second thing is, like, okay, how do you eventually get past these feelings of anger, disappointment, and self-doubt, and then move beyond the situation and just find peace, man? And then so if you don't, like you just said, now you got regrets. You'll just stay there. Like, you be like, oh man, it goes back to earlier what you just said too. We're not saved for ourselves, right? We there's spaces and places we got to occupy, and we sojourning, and we just passing through, and then we have these transactional, translucent interactions with people, and we got to be at the right space and place when we're supposed to be. Like, God orchestrates this stuff. What's crazy is when we never learn from this stuff, and then when we meet these people, we empty. We don't. The exchange is empty. Or it's something you're supposed to be telling these cats, but you lying. The lies we tell. We don't want to. Like, hey, you know what, man? Check it out. And I've been in that, like you said, you the mechanics behind this. I gotta be transparent and translucent enough where I'm gonna tell you the truth. Then you gonna see the truth. You can smell it. Like, I used to tell people at church when I was pastoring, I said, let me tell you something. I said, some of y'all think people are stupid. Them dudes on the street, they know you, they smell you a mile away. Game, no game. You know, you can sit up there and come up with these tongues that God and the devil don't know. You can sit there and quote all the scriptures. You can put on the nicest rags, man. You can dance around the church and flush the toilet 5 times and jump over the benches and all that stuff. When you done, and then you dealing with these cats that's looking for the real thing, they can smell you. They just, nah. You look good, you smell good, sound good, but what you leaving me? And when you had those exchanges, it's crazy. And it's like, I was just telling God, I was like, you know what? I just want to be where I'm supposed to be. And I want to pass this test. Like, I want to get past this crazy. So, a lot of this stuff that you've been rejected from or can really save you behind. Like you really kind of said it earlier.
It's protection.
Go ahead. Yeah. No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah. No, I was just agreeing with you. I was saying, like, yeah, I mean, it's really, it ended up being protection, that not being able to be accepted into that certain group, or this particular girl was turning you down, or you didn't go into that particular job. You didn't get hired for that job, or you didn't move into this certain. I'll just say, like, think about it and you're working at this job and you really wanted this certain position and whatnot. And then you didn't get the position, you steaming mad. They just felt a certain way. And then, like, boom, a couple of weeks later come out and they like shut that position out.
Yeah.
Yo, what would have happened to you? You all upset. You got sometimes, but we're not taught that. We're taught early on that when something doesn't go our way, that we're supposed to dislike it instead of accepting it. And it's like, all right, that means, because we don't talk about purpose. We don't teach about really moving towards your purpose in the direction of how things happen. And we shouldn't even use rejection. We shouldn't even use rejection as a word anyway. We should just erase that word. They taught rejection, they taught embarrassment, they taught failure as a means for somebody to not try and move forward, because the only way you can move forward is to explore foreign territory, to go into the thing that you don't know about. Otherwise, you stay in the comfortable place. In the comfortable places, somebody says, this is where you can operate in. This is what you'll be good at. Like, if you they tell certain students in school, it's like, you know what, you probably be good at being a mechanic. You ought to just be an electrician or a plumber and not really push. And you know what I'm talking about. I'm talking about a certain group of people. They told them, get trades. You need to go to trade school. College wouldn't be for you. You corporate America, you're not made for corporate America. Because so you know what, and that's puts a form of rejection, because they're like, why can't I do what you know what I'm saying? Why can't I do what they're doing? I mean, it looks like it's so much fun up there. I mean, they go on vacations with their family and whatnot, but I gotta go to the plant.
Yeah, and you know what? This is crazy, right? Now, this is the other piece I'm gonna read. You just was talking about this. The amount of time you spend on each phase of rejection depends on you and the situation. Some may pass quickly, others less. It is important to be patient with yourself. There's no optional rate for getting over rejection. So I'm gonna name these 5 phases we go through when we get rejected, because we got like 10 minutes, 9 minutes left. The first one is denial. The second one is anger. Then you start bargaining. Then you get depressed. Been there. Then it's this acceptance. You finally accept the fact, all right, come on, buddy. You know what I'm saying? Like, hands up. I'm arrested. This ain't gonna work, man. Let me go and sit down. And so I'm gonna start off with denial, right? Your first reaction to discovering someone is turning you down will be disbelief. There must be some mistake. They done made a mistake. Something. You said that earlier. Like, really? Like, you done made... You done lost your mind. You made a mistake. I don't know what you're talking about. You deserve this person's regard and respect. And you know, I was dumb. Because, so you might feel something's just off. And that's what, when I first was going through this stuff, man, my separate divorce, this is what I did. Now, you know, she came to me and said, I don't want you no more. Now, right there, I should have said, carry on, sailor. I'm going. Huh? Hi on silver. But because I was so busy proving things to people, I was in denial. I got mad. I was hot. I said, oh, man. Nah, man. Can't be. You done lost your doggone mind.
Especially since, and you know another thing, because you done invested so much time in there at the same time too. He's like, oh no, you ain't gonna let me waste my time. and you think it's just gonna be like that. That's another reason why, you know, we keep on we keep punishing ourselves in certain things that we ought to walk away from.
Yeah, because you in denial. You like, what?
I'm gonna make this work.
Oh yeah. It's you know, man, it can't be. Now here's the second one, anger. That's denial. And once you realize that your rejection isn't a misunderstanding, right? You will move on to feeling angry. Once you realize a person's spurning you isn't recognizing the error of their ways, you might be mad. At this point, it might be tempting. Listen to this. Go off on the person rejecting you. Don't do it. I did. Ultimately, venting your negative emotions at them will only cause more hurt for yourself. Take a deep breath and work to calm yourself down. This is a situation where you need to let cooler heads prevail and try to manage anger. Now, see, I'm going to throw this out here. As men, we feel like if we get angry, pissed off, you can call whatever the words you want to call it. Like, I'm just going to go off on you. Like, that, what? Okay. This is my famous line now. Did that move the needle? Did it pay some bills? Did it make your life better? Did it? You ever been there, man? When you just feel like, okay, I got rejected. I don't believe this. And then the next thing you do, you get angry. You ever been there? I know I have.
Yeah, I've been there. I mean, I wish that I would have known so much earlier that, you know what, that all it is a push in the right direction.
Yeah.
It's just a push in the right direction, but we've been groomed to be so sensitive to everything, being such an individual that like you're so special that everything must work for you. Now, there's a scripture that's saying, you know, everything will work for your good, but for those that love the Lord. So, I mean, when you're on God's side and you got the glory of God with you, then obviously you got a perfect overseer, overlooker with you, the one that controls all. He's perfect. So therefore, I mean, he wrote our stories to be perfect, but it's the fact that we got free will. And that free will, you know, he's like, man, I got the perfect path for them right here, but they keep choosing the other one. So I just sit here until they, you know, get tired of running into the wall and everything that they're doing. And then I'll be like, okay, let me clean now. Now you still got issue, because you know what? Once you realize you messed up, once I realized that I was messed up and whatnot, then I had to go through a whole reconstruction process. He had to break mindsets off of me, had habits and behaviors and people and places had to let go of. And just like this rejection, that's one of the strongest things for us to have to shed in order for us to kind of get our mindset in the place that it needs to be, in order for us to actually process that there's no such thing as a failure. There's no such thing as a rejection. You tell me no, all right, you're not the right person.
Yep. And this goes right to where you just said it. We start bargaining, right? You'll get to the point where you begin to think that the person who disappointed you did so because of a faulty assumption or a lack of information. You'll think that if you could just talk to them, you'll win them over. This phase can easily devolve into something frightening for the other person if you let it. You need to give that person who turned you down space. They don't owe you an explanation for their rejection, but for the sake of your future relationship, should you both choose to have one, you need to accept their decision with grace. And that's where I'm at now. See, these phases, man, where you just like, okay, wait a minute. And you so busy trying to barter, right? You do some of the dumbest stuff. Just trying to, okay, I'll tell you what. Now, we're going to do some ungodly things to try to make this work. Really? First of all, God went in it the first place. Now you're going to do some ungodly stuff. And then it's just going to make you more angry. Now you're bartering. See, you bartering with God. You bartering yourself. It's almost like, it's crazy. It's insane. It's insane. It's just insane.
Compromising your value.
Right.
Compromising your value, devaluing yourself. I was just writing something on talking about that. It's difficult for you to fit in someplace, because the reason why you find it difficult for you to fit in, because you're not supposed to be there. I mean, that's why you find it so difficult to get in, or you find it so difficult in staying in there, because you're not supposed to be there. Nope. You compromise your character, your integrity. You devalued yourself. You dumb yourself down. You watered yourself down to make somebody else feel comfortable enough to say that, yeah, all right, you know what? I like you. I like you, because you're trying to give them what you think is going to be pleasing to them. And it's like, hey, you know what? It's a matter of, I know what I carry and I know my value and whatnot. I'm not trying to meet your standard or meet your qualifications, because you know what? We ought to start thinking, I need to qualify them to see whether or not they should have access to me.
Yep.
Not so much the other way around. I hope I meet their standards. I hope I meet their requirements. Let me see if you qualify to meet the standards that I have in order for you to have access to me.
And you deplete yourself trying to complete other people when you do that. And I'm gonna
lose your identity.
Yes, I'm gonna throw these last two out.
And I'm
No, you good, because you gonna have the last word. Check this out. Now you're depressed. Rejection comes with a tangled knot of emotion. On top of feeling angry and disappointed, you're sad, listen to this, embarrassed, confused, hurt, or all the above. Your self-confidence has taken a hit, and you may be questioning your worth. See, you hitting all this stuff on the head. All these feelings are a valid response to rejection that might lead to feelings of depression. Now is when you need to pull out all the stops in your self-care routine, burn candles, take a bubble bath, or surround yourself with friends, Whatever gives you a sense of comfort. Once you feel comforted, begin examining your feelings to identify which emotions are driving your depression. Them triggers, make a plan to address them. It could be as simple as reminding yourself why you are a wonderful human being and of all the people who love and value. So this is last one, acceptance. Now that your emotions have rebounded and you're feeling more like your old confident self, it's time to take a critical look at the situation. Maybe the rejection stemmed from the fact you weren't a good fit or other factors beyond your control. You may spot a mistake you made and know it's learning opportunity. It's also possible that you will never fully understand why and hows of the situation. In other words, it's saying you may never know what really was the issue, and that's okay. Regardless, you've learned and grown from the experience. You now understand the process, and the next time you face rejection, you'll be better able to recognize what you're feeling. Now I'm gonna give you the last words, my brother. Power to the people.
Only thing I could be thinking about to close with this is this. A couple of things. You know what? God is self-sufficient in himself, right? And if God's self-sufficient in himself, he doesn't need anything outside of himself. We were created in his image and likeness, right? If we are carrying his likeness, we know we can operate in his image, but to be holy is to carry his likeness. So therefore, our identity, we don't need anybody else outside of what God has given us. God being in us is enough. We'll have our identity. So therefore, we don't have to carry that spirit of timidity, that thing of shrinking down and whatnot, and be like, okay, if that's what you want, that's what I'll be. He gave us power, love, and a sound mind, a stable mind. Therefore, a stable mind meaning I know exactly who I am. So that means I'm not bowing down just to appease anybody. You take me as I am or don't take me at all.
Wow. That's it. Well, this has been another great super hour with the superpowers. We have, Daniel Williams, the Green Hornet. Great guy. Yes, great guy.
Appreciate you, sir. Appreciate you.
Yes.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
This is Robert Copperfield from the Gilligan's Island. I'm Gilligan today. So, this is Skip. So,
yo, we'll see y'all on the next episode, man. Hey, remember, man. Hey, stop. Yo, be who you are supposed to be. Yeah. If you're uncomfortable in it, let that uncomfortable speak loud and act on it. Don't continue on in it. Be you authentically.
Wow. Well, we're signing off.
Signing out.
Hey, power to people.